we're on.
Clue short, if we fade then it's a lie. But you know we are the sun. And we'll walk
This is Lost Thoughts for episode 15, entitled Follow the Leader. This week we'll question whatever happened happened, marvel at Hurley's inability to do math, and get an oh-so-good theory of the week regarding the nature of the island and Jacob. This was a very solid episode. Great lines, great scenes, plot movement, a few unexpected turns, and, oh yeah, a plot twist. If there was one thing confirmed from last week's episode, Daniel is indeed dead. This episode picks up right where we left off, except from Jack and Kate's perspective. And uh-oh, Cowboy Whitmore strikes again. Jack is so set on getting things back to where they were supposed to be, but he's not realizing the bad things that will happen if he succeeds. Like Kate going to jail, Sun and Jin never fixing their relationship, Sawyer continuing to be a con man and never taking responsibility for himself. And of course, the granddaddy of them all, Locke, will still be paralyzed. Well, yeah, the laundry list of people who were killed will be alive again, but the redemption of so many people on this island will have been erased and they will continue to live in their misery. 30 years later, we have Richard with apparently a lot of time on his hands. I like to think that he's been working on that ship in a bottle since Locke left 3 years earlier. But the ship, of course, is pointing to the Black Rock, which a lot of people think that Richard was a crew member on in the 1800s. I brought dinner. Nice. Richard said that there's something different about Locke, and Locke says that he has a purpose. Or is Locke finally in tune with the island? Notice I said island and not Jacob. More on that later. Richard is a kind of advisor to the leader of the others. Did Richard do something wrong previously that doomed him to this role for the rest of his life? Richard said that he watched Jack, Kate, and Hurley all die. That one line has totally rocked my belief in whatever happened happened. Seriously. Knowing that Richard saw them all die leads me to believe that something is going to be changed about the past, so they're going to be alive later on. Instead of whatever happened happened, this could be a situation where the time loop needs to be set back to where it was supposed to be. Darn you, Richard, and rocking my theories! 40-year-old Eloise is trying to come to terms with killing her own son, time travel, and the journal in her hands. Jack is trying to convince her to help them. Is this how Eloise begins to gather her information as to what's going to happen in the future? All of her knowledge is basically gained from learning what time travelers have told her? I never imagined Radzinski to be such a jerk. A whiner, yeah, but not a jerk. I knew I hated Phil for a reason. I said it weeks ago, and now he hits Juliet. Not cool. Who the hell is Hugo Reyes? He's the fat guy. Not cool! This exchange between Hurley and Pierre Chang will go down as one of the all-time greatest conversations in Lost history, period. I would never be able to do it justice, so here's a link so you can watch it. Miles finally admits to being his son, but Dr. Chang didn't react the way I thought he would. Let's just say that love can be complicated. What does that mean? Whitmore and Hawking are lovers and they lead together? Or something else? This is the scene where Locke flashed in and Richard came to stitch him up and gave him the compass. Locke tells Richard to help Locke. This is awesome! Obviously this explains why Richard knew when and where to show up to stitch up Locke, but it doesn't explain how present-day Locke knew that the flash would occur at that moment. The island told him, not Jacob. Theory in a little bit. Radzinski is taking control of Dharma like a kid who screams the loudest. Saeed to the rescue! Kate made a face and I thought she had been shot and my mind did a backflip. In that instant, I thought of all the possible ramifications of Season 6 if Kate was dead, and I was a little happy. How long has Saeed been following them? Where has he been, and will he explain it all after the commercial break? No. Jack is convinced that they are there to set off Jughead to set everything back to where it was supposed to be. He's playing this whole thing by faith, but I have this irking feeling that he's wrong. And Pierre Chang is telling his wife to leave. Miles is actually witnessing the moment that led to his father not being in his life. Sawyer always has a plan, right? He's gonna buy Microsoft. Nice. Sawyer's got a plan to be rich. The underwater cave is awesome. I want one. Anyone think of Tomb Raider when Jack was swimming through it? Richard thinks that Locke is going to be trouble. Wow. If Locke was always meant to be the leader of the others, why would he lead them down a wrong path? Of course, Charles was exiled, so the leaders aren't exactly perfect. Maybe Locke's reign will be the shortest in history. I sound like a broken record, but I don't like Kate. Sawyer and Juliet finally get a happy ending, and Kate has to tag along. Kate's handcuffed to the table, and awkward. Jack trusts Eloise because in 30 years she will tell them how to get back to the island. But what Jack doesn't realize is that if they succeed, Flight 815 will land in LA, and they will never have to leave the island as the Oceanic Six, and never have to come back. He'll never need Eloise's help, and they'll never know to use Jughead to stop this whole thing from starting in the first place. The space-time continuum will fall apart, everything will cease to exist, dogs and cats living together! Locke's real reason for going to see Jacob? He's gonna kill him. Kill him! Plot twist! Quickly, it's time for Theory of the Week. Since Season 1, Lost has been about two sides. Locke said it himself when he was playing backgammon with Walt. Two players, two sides, one is light, one is dark. Ben, like other people on the show, have been getting their instructions from Jacob as to what to do, whereas Locke has always been getting his instructions from the island. My theory is that the light side is the island and the dark side is Jacob. These two sides will be battling in the war that Widmore was talking about. It will occur during Season 6. Richard said himself that there was another group of people at the temple. Why are they separated unless they believe and follow instructions from different things? Jacob is confined to the cabin, whereas the island is omnipresent and omnipotent. Jacob might represent Satan. His ways are trying to win people to his side by any means necessary, while the island represents God. Its ways are to protect people and lead them on a path of self-discovery and redemption. Locke has always been on the side of the island, and now he's on his way to go kill Jacob on orders from the island. Locke, again, being that representation of Jesus Christ, could be on his way to defeating Satan. Oh, you feel that? You feel that right here? Oh yeah, that was your mind blown. It's a sneak attack of message board chatter. One guy has been complaining that the flashbacks of the characters from seasons 1 to 3 have been pretty much pointless when you consider where the show is now storyline-wise. He argues that you could have taken the flashbacks out of it and actually added in more story as to what's going on the island. I disagree. By getting the history of the characters through the flashback storytelling technique, we have emotion invested in these people. In real life, people don't sit around telling stories as to how and why they ended up the way that they were. That's a cheesy sitcom motif. Having flashbacks opens a window into these characters' souls in which we can see how they ended up the way they were and have sympathy for them on their path to redemption. I mean, I just got mine reattached, but a lot of people are still picking up their jaws. Of course, people are up in arms over this Comic-Con video. We all assumed it was Daniel behind the camera while filming Pierre Chang. And the wife and kid in the background, we assumed that was Chang's wife and baby Miles. At this point, his wife and kid are supposedly leaving the island, and Daniel is dead. I'm really not sure how we're supposed to proceed from here. In the video, Pierre Chang seems to be a believer in the whole time travel situation, which he wasn't until last night after Daniel had already died. So when are they filming this video? This is your question of the week. If it actually is Daniel behind the camera in the video with Pierre Chang, how is this going to be explained? Is it going to be explained? Will the writers just ignore this important piece of Lost and just move on? Will Miles and Pierre ever play catch? Will Hurley ever learn who the president is in 1977? The scenes for next week showed Juliet, Sawyer, and Kate back on the island, so I am a little disappointed. But next week's episode is it. The 2-hour season finale of Lost entitled The Incident. The secret scene? The fork in the outlet. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have invested the time, Lost is one of the most fulfilling shows on television. Man, what am I gonna do when the season's over? I guess I could always go outside.